welcome everyone to Voiceover In and Out for today. I think it is time to move on to, well, as I said, we basically finished messages as much as we're going to cover messages. Now, again, there's a lot more that can be done. We talked briefly about how to initiate FaceTime and even group FaceTime calls from within messages, and I just want to revisit group FaceTime for a moment, and I want to talk about one other aspect of FaceTime today, because we did talk about that last week too. So just to review with FaceTime, individual or group, there are multiple ways to start one. The simplest way, in my opinion, and that is definitely an opinion, it's personal preference, but for me, I've always liked to do it from messages, because that way you can also coordinate a little bit with everybody. You know, you can send out a message to the group and say, hey guys, about to join FaceTime. And, you know, you just go up to that where your FaceTime button is, the top, just to the right of the back button. And you can start a FaceTime, group FaceTime conversation. And as we said before, this is, well, let me say one thing I know I didn't say last week. If you are not initiating the group FaceTime, you're one of the other people in the group. Now, anyone can initiate, okay, with a standard group FaceTime, Apple to Apple. There's no host like there is in Zoom or WebEx. Anybody has sort of equal rights and privileges with a group FaceTime. Now, that's a little bit different if you bring non-Apple devices in it. Non-Apple devices don't have the same privileges. And if you create a FaceTime link, it's a little bit different. But I'll get to that in a minute, okay? So for standard group FaceTime that you just initiate on the fly like you've always been able to do it since it was introduced, there's no one host. Everybody can do, the same things. But if you're not the person initiating it, how do you join it? Well, one of the most common questions we've got is why doesn't my phone really ring when there's a group FaceTime? And that depends on the situation. There are some circumstances in which it will, but basically it's designed to be a quiet notification so that it doesn't interrupt other things if people in a group are initiating this a bunch or that kind of thing. And it's not silent. There is a sound, okay? And it does appear as a banner notification, but if you're not paying attention, you might miss it. If you're not close to your device when it happens, you're going to miss it, okay? So it's not completely silent. There is a notification. It does make a cute little musical sound, but it's just very quiet and very quick, and it's not persistent. It goes away. Now, if you get it in time when that banner happens, you can double tap on the banner. Just touch near the top of the screen. I say near the left side just to, bring focus up there. And then double tap, and it'll put you into the FaceTime group interface. And you'll still, I think, to this day, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think even in 15, you'll still have to swipe once you've connected to the FaceTime group. You'll have to swipe to the right to the join button. You're not automatically brought into the conversation when you double tap on that notification. It brings you in to where you can see everybody by name or phone number, but you can't hear them and they cannot hear you until you swipe right and hit the join button. And of course, we mean double tap with VoiceOver. So I believe that still holds true to this day. But I just wanted to point that out as to how you become part of a group FaceTime if you did not initiate it, because I know that has been a question for some folks. Now, if you missed that banner, if you didn't get it, you should find it in the notification center. All right, you could go up to your notification center, which we've taught you how to do. You should see a missed FaceTime there, and it's in progress. You can double tap on it, and again, you can swipe over to join. Another way to do it is to simply open the FaceTime app, and you should see that in progress FaceTime call in the list of FaceTime calls. So, as we've said, the FaceTime app has two buttons at the top, a new FaceTime button and a create link button. But to the right of that is a list of all your recent FaceTime calls. And so you should see the group FaceTime right there at the top of the list. Double tap it, and assuming it's still in progress, you're going to be connected right to it. If not, it's going to initiate a group FaceTime. And of course, in messages, as I said, that's the other way, whether or not there's one in progress. And that has always been my preference. It's just do it right from the messages conversation. But there are, you can also do it using the FaceTime link button. And we talked about that before, and how unlike with, excuse me, how unlike with, let's say Zoom or WebEx, your group FaceTime links don't automatically, they don't have to be at a certain time. Like, you can create a link and use it and reuse it anytime you wish. You can name that link. If you purchased our iOS 15 tutorial series, we did a detailed walkthrough of that. And then if you want to schedule it, just copy that link and put it on the calendar, right? That will allow everybody who is subscribed to that calendar or who shares that calendar to see it, or you could invite people through the calendar. We're going to learn about calendar today, guys. And so you can do that, okay? And the difference with a link is when people join a FaceTime call through a link, you will have to give them permission to enter. And there is a rotor action for that, I believe, if I recall correctly. The last time I did it, you swipe over and you see the person's name that wants to join, and you swipe up or down, and there's a button to admit them to the group FaceTime. And that is true for both Apple and non-Apple users, because, as I said, if you create a link, you can even bring the Android and the Windows folks in if you want to. So that's a bit more just expanding upon the idea of FaceTime and group FaceTime. Now, one of the greatest things that I'm so excited to talk about today, which is not really on the agenda, but I just want to spend 2 or 3 minutes with this, is SharePlay. SharePlay has officially been released now. You will be, if you have purchased the iOS 15 tutorial series, you will be, we put 2 new items in there already. There's 10 items in that iCloud folder now, but you're going to be getting another 1 or 2 in the next day or so, and one of those will be about SharePlay. We're going to do a demo of SharePlay. I'm just going to have to get somebody, my son or daughter or trainer Cliff or one of the other instructors, somebody to do that with me so you can actually really appreciate it. And what SharePlay does is it offers several components. One being, you can immediately from within the FaceTime call share your screen. So if you update to iOS 15.1, which hopefully you've done, if not, hopefully you'll do it soon, you will see in the FaceTime controls a new button that says share. And I think it either says share screen or share content. And that is going to allow you to immediately share whatever is on your screen. You can share, photos, browse the web, do whatever. Those are some, examples that Apple gives in the release notes. And, to stop sharing, you just double tap the button again. And so that's a screen share with SharePlay. The other feature, and maybe that's not even really called SharePlay, if we're being technically correct, I don't know. But the next part definitely is, and that is that you can share music that you're listening to, or even movies that you are watching, movies and TV shows. Now, right now, out of the gate, Apple Music supports this. The Apple TV app supports it. I don't know, if I'm being honest with you, I don't have a list of all of the third-party apps that support it yet. I know when it was introduced that a few said that they were going to, like Disney Plus was one of them, I believe, that did say they were going to, add SharePlay, and there were a few others, and that they will add SharePlay support. So you're going to want to just keep checking on that. I would suspect that when an app developer decides to implement SharePlay support, that's going to be in the app release notes. If you go to the App Store and you see, an update for Hulu or Netflix or whatever, if they decide to do it, I imagine you're going to see in there support for SharePlay, whatever. But you could always try it. The way to initiate this with music and TV shows is just to, while you're on a FaceTime call, just leave the app and start playing music, for example. Just go to the music app and start to play a song, and it's going to say to you, play with SharePlay or play I forget what the other phrase was, play by yourself, basically. And if you play with SharePlay, it's actually playing on the other person's device, which is really cool. And so it is a powerful feature. I think it's one that people are going to love, and I think you just need to try it to experience it. But that is something that I have been really, really anxious to talk about. Apple has been really anxious to talk about. You saw them, they'd bring it up every chance they got, but it wasn't, available yet. But it finally is today. And so it's, I'm thrilled about that because it's just such a cool feature, and it really, really, really works. And there's no latency issues. It automatically quiets the volume of the media that you're playing in order for you to hear the other person talk, so you can talk with each other. I mean, this has happened in real world. I'll be talking to my mom on the phone or something, and she'll say, "Oh, you got to hear this song." And, she'll try to play it on the device that she's calling from. And I'll say, well, that's not going to work. I'm not going to hear that, and then either I find it myself or she gets another, whatever. Well, this is the solution to that. So this is really, really great. These mic modes, real quick, they are not accessed through the main FaceTime controls that you swipe within the call to find. They are in the control center when a call is active. And so you're going to go to Control Center using the methods we've taught you, such as using the swipe down from the right corner, top right corner. And you're going to, instead of going to the right and seeing, once you've swiped down, you have airplane mode, and then you swipe right, you got, cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, whatever. You're going to swipe to the left of airplane mode, and there's going to be some additional controls only when you're on a call of this magnitude, of a video or FaceTime call or what have you. And if you swipe left of the airplane mode button, you're going to have some different options. You're going to have video effects, and you're going to have mic modes. And the mic modes are the ones of particular interest, I think, to folks who cannot see, although the video effects are very useful and very cool also. And on the latest iPads, you have center stage and stuff, which are quite useful. But the audio, the mic modes, there are 3 basic mic modes. Your standard mic mode, voice isolation, and wide spectrum. Now, standard is just what we've always had, and it still sounds really good. Voice isolation just takes everything out that is not your voice or anybody really, really close to you. You've got to be pretty close to the microphone, not right up against it, but close enough that iOS is able to determine you really intend to be talking to your phone or iPad or whatever. And then your voice is going to sound great, but nothing else will be heard. And I mean, I've tested this, and we've done it on these calls, and it's amazing. And my dog will bark, and no one will hear it. When I tested it with my mom and dad, it suddenly sounded like they were in a studio. All the background ambient noise of the air conditioning or whatever they had on that night just disappeared. And it was actually really funny because they were talking to me, and they were the way that they were not really, really close. They were not like right beside each other. And so I couldn't even hear my dad talking because my mom was holding the phone, like he had to get closer. So it's an amazing feature that really does take out that background noise. Wide spectrum is the opposite. Wide spectrum is for those times when you really want to hear all the sounds around you. Somebody's playing the piano and you want to hear that, or you want somebody to listen to something else in the room or outside, you switch to wide spectrum. Okay, so those are really, really useful. And the cool part is they work on FaceTime, but they're not limited to FaceTime. They work on Zoom. They work on WebEx. Presumably, they'd work on Google Meet. I've never tried it. I don't use Google Meet really, but presumably they'd work on Skype if people still use that. Whatever you have, they should work. Any of these, audio type conferencing apps and so forth, they should work. I can attest to them working on Zoom and WebEx for certain, in addition to FaceTime. So that was a little deviation from the agenda, but that's okay because I wanted to share with you the the share play stuff and a little more about group FaceTime that I felt we needed to cover, especially how to answer a group FaceTime call. And what's really cool too is you can leave them and come back to them if they're still in progress. If other people are talking, and you need to step away, you can just come back. I mean, it's so easy. Apple makes things so easy and yet so powerful. This is a big day because we're going to take a look at calendar, and if there's time, we're going to take a look at reminders. I have my doubts as to whether we'll get to both today. Whichever one, what we don't finish today, we'll cover Wednesday and beyond. Just keep moving right along here. But at the very least, we want to talk about calendar. I have got to say, and this is more of a soapbox than a teaching, but I think it's worth pointing out. I have got to say that I believe that calendar, and some of you heard us talk a little about this on Friday if you joined our ACB presentation. I think that calendar is one of the most underutilized apps by the visually impaired community because people have not been taught how to properly use it. And reminders is right up there too. And what I have noticed over the years is that I'm working with folks, customers, and some of them are visually impaired because I, work with both sighted and non-sighted folks. I'll work with a customer and I'll hear, we're working on something really advanced. I mean, maybe they're working on GarageBand or, they're working on Pages or something, and they're doing really well. And so, they can learn this stuff. And then when they want, when we talk about, well, when are we going to meet again? Let's pick a date. Then they pull out their cassette recorder or their Perkins Brailler or their, specialized device from HIMS or whatever, because they are not comfortable with the calendar and they're afraid that they're not going to be able to access it in a way that is actually meaningful, relevant, and useful. And they're probably right if they've never spent time with it or been shown how to use it. But once they learn how to use it, the possibilities are just incredible. This is a powerful, powerful app. First and foremost, it is integrated with iCloud. I hope that all of you have taken the time to read our very extensive iCloud document because it covers the kinds of things that you can do with iCloud. And one of the things that's mentioned and discussed in there is the calendars. You can, turn on calendars. Really, they're on by default unless you, have changed that at some point and you sign into all your devices with the same Apple ID. And so now when I create an event on my, calendar on the iPad, it instantly shows up on the iPhone, on the Mac. I can access it from the HomePod, the Apple Watch, and, any combination you want. I use the example of creating it on the iPad, but any one of them, it doesn't matter. They all sync with each other using iCloud automatically, wirelessly, nothing to have to do. They're just there, just like contacts. And so this is super easy and super convenient. Now, Calendar, besides being integrated with iCloud, does support some third-party calendar accounts. And I just want to get this out of the way because this is not really where I would start in the sense of teaching calendar, but I think we need to cover this because there are a lot of services out there that promise calendar syncing. And if you don't understand this right away, it may cause problems down the road. So what we are talking about is we're talking about, for example, Outlook, these kinds of services and others that also have calendar functionality as part of the services that they offer. If you are adding an account to your device, which we haven't even taught you how to do, but it's in the user guide, and certainly people are going to want to do it when we teach email later on. If you have a third-party email account, Gmail, again, Outlook, your internet provider, Comcast.net or, Charter, any of these, most of them, you're going to find when you add that account, you have other options besides just mail. You can add calendars for that account. You can add notes for that account. And you can turn these on and off when you add the account, or you can go back into your settings later and tweak it. You can turn them off and on later. It is our recommendation here at TTJ that you only use iCloud when it comes to calendars, notes, reminders, all of these things. We suggest choosing iCloud and sticking with only iCloud. Okay. Now, I understand. I get it. Okay. I might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. I know that some places that you work, some jobs, some businesses, you're going to be required to use calendars from, let's say, Outlook. Or, like in my wife's case, her school district uses, what used to be called G Suite. Now they're called Google Workspace. And they have this, education account or pro account, whatever you have with Google Workspace. And it gives them their own domain email and stuff. But it also means everybody's using the Google Calendar feature for all their school district stuff. So she doesn't really have a choice. She has to use the Google Calendar. Now, she could use a separate app for Google Calendar, or she could allow it to integrate into her Apple Calendar. And the beautiful thing is, Apple Calendar supports all this. Apple Notes supports all this, right? All these different apps, you can have iCloud calendars, Google calendars, Outlook calendars, and you can have them all living and working side by side in perfect harmony, as long as you understand that that's what is happening. But we have had numerous, and I'm not just talking one or two, we have had many customers who don't realize, it's nobody's fault, I'm not criticizing anybody, but they don't realize that by adding a Google account, unless they turned it off, they've also added Google Calendars, not just Gmail email, okay? Who don't realize that, by adding a Microsoft account, not only have they added Outlook email, but they've also added Outlook calendars. And because they don't know that, they don't know what their default calendar is. And so they'll ask Siri to create an event, and it'll show up on one device, and it won't show up on another. Or they won't see it on any devices because they don't have things set up the same way on both devices. And anytime I get a customer question like this, somebody said, well, I can see it on my iPhone, but it just isn't showing up on my iPad. Calendars is on under iCloud. I checked, but it's just not showing up on all my devices. The first thing I always ask, and 100% of the time, the problem has always been, I say to them, are you using other calendar services along with iCloud? And they'll either say yes or I don't know. But when we go and check, it always ends up being a yes. And it's just that it's not turned on, or it's not the same setting on both devices. Again, let me be clear. You can do it, and it can sync. And for people who need to do it, it can work beautifully. Okay? It really does. But you have got to know what you're getting into. You have got to know what is set up on one device. And if you expect syncing, you've got to make sure those settings are mirrored on all of your devices. It is my preference to use iCloud calendars. I think they are the best, the most integrated, the most feature-filled, the most functional for an Apple user. And so I would encourage anybody who has the choice to disable your other calendars and use only iCloud. Now, if you've put a bunch of stuff on your other calendars, then maybe you don't want to delete them or disable them because you won't have those events on that device. But that's something to consider, But at the very least, you could make your default calendar iCloud so that going forward, everything's going to get on the correct calendar. So all of this is managed under settings and calendar. Now, if you are a brand new user to the iPhone, to VoiceOver, that whole conversation probably scared you more than it helped. And I apologize for that, because for right now, you probably don't need to worry. For right now, you just want to learn how to use the basic calendar. But we also have some folks on here who have been longtime users who probably do have other services because of their other email addresses or their jobs or whatever. So I really did need to make sure that we covered that right out of the gate, because I have learned through doing this year after year that that is something people need to hear about. So the good news on that is Calendar app supports multiple types of calendars if you need them. All right. All of the settings are under settings and calendar. And take a look under there sometime, guys, because not only can you adjust your default calendar, which is so useful when you're using Siri, but you can adjust default alert times, and you can, add and you can see what calendars you have under there and add and remove them. And so there's a lot of really important stuff under settings and calendars. Okay, now we are going to get into the actual calendar app, because that's where we want to spend our time. I will say this: it's perfectly possible to use Siri to add events to the calendar, and I think it's a great way to do it. But there's going to be even more control over what you're adding if you use the app. We're going to teach you about adding events. We're going to teach you about finding events once you've added them, finding out what's on your calendar, because it's not just about adding events, right? It's about being able to use your calendar in a meaningful way to say, hey, what's on my schedule for tomorrow? What do I have today? These kinds of questions. And again, Siri is great for this stuff. Siri really, really does a good job. But let's just ask Siri, what's on my calendar today?
You have one appointment at 2 p.m. TT, J Voiceover In&Out course at WebEx.
Well, I think there's a good reason that's on our calendar, right? So you heard it tell me that I have that one appointment, and it's that easy. And you can also say something to Siri like, when is my dentist appointment? When is, and so if as long as the phrasing is pretty close to the correct title of the event, that's going to work as well. So 2 ways to query, Siri about that, what's on my calendar today, or do I have any appointments today, or, whatever, natural language, right? Or the other side of that, when is the dentist appointment, or when is my haircut, Now, while we're talking about that, I just want to say, with the when you are using a for example, HomePod Mini, I don't think this is limited to the HomePod. I think you could do this on any device. You can also say, what's my update? And that's a cool feature, sometimes to ask in the mornings. Siri will tell you the weather, tell you what's on your calendar, and just basic information about your day. So if you want to know what your day looks like, you can say to Siri, what's my update? That's another way to do that too. And that was really advertised and introduced alongside the HomePod Mini. But as I said, I suspect that works on any device. I usually have done it on the HomePod.
Screen dim.
All right. So what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to move on into the calendar app.
Calendar, Monday, October 25th.
And right away,
double tap to open.
You can hear that whenever we tap on the calendar or swipe to the calendar, it reads the current date. That's very useful. Now we can double tap to open. The calendar app on the iPhone, because we're going to teach the iPad in that separate class in the spring. On the iPhone, you have across the bottom of the calendar app, you have these tabs. Remember, we learned about predictable patterns, and we learned about a tab view. At the bottom of the screen, you have a button at the bottom left that says Today. I think the next one, and this is where I might need help, guys, if I am missing one or if I have the order wrong. You have Today, you have Calendars, and you have Inbox. Today button brings the calendar to the current day. And that's just a quick way to, to jump back to the calendar. If you're scrolling through dates and stuff, you can always hit that to jump back to today's date. The calendars button, the second one on the bottom there, is we just talked a few minutes ago about how the calendar supports multiple calendars, right? Apple, iCloud, and Outlook, and whatever. So if you hit calendars, that's where you're going to see all of the calendars that you have available to you. You can show or hide them. You can show all. If you hide them, you will not get alerts from them. If you show them, you will get the alerts and you'll see the events. Now, this is where you can also have, in addition to different types of calendars, you can also have these read-only subscription calendars. For example, our TTJ training calendar. That's under iCloud. It's part of the iCloud calendar, but it's a shared calendar, and it's not just a regular shared calendar like your family calendar. It's a subscribed calendar, so that for you it's read only. Okay, that is where we can all the um, all the different events that TTJ has to offer. So when you subscribe to that TTJ training calendar, it puts it in there with all your other calendars. And as long as you don't hide it, as long as you leave it enabled, all the events show up right alongside your other events on your calendars. Okay. So, you know, that's a very, very nice feature. And there are other ones. Anybody can have a read only calendar. You don't have to have special privileges for that. Maybe a soccer coach would start one for a soccer team, so that the players and the parents can see the game schedule and the practices and everything. There's also some that are that Apple has for us, like U.S. holidays. So that one allows you to see the when the holidays are in the United States here. And there's even a calendar called birthdays. And we taught you a couple weeks ago that if you want to properly add someone's birthday to the calendar, you do it through the Contacts app. Well, that's how it aggregates those. So when you put when you put somebody's birthday in their contact card, that automatically shows up on the birthdays calendar, and that is really the correct way to do it. Rather than just going into your calendar and putting someone's birthday as an event. You just add their birthday to their contact card, and it's going to show up on the calendar. Now, if you use family sharing, which was discussed briefly in the iCloud document, which we posted, you will also have a family calendar that is shared by the entire family, every member in the family share group, and everybody in that family share group can add events to the family calendar. Just make sure you choose. We're going to learn here in a couple of minutes how to select which calendar you're adding to. Make sure that you choose the correct calendar, the family one, and that's everybody's calendar. So my wife and kids, they don't need, all my work events on the family calendar, and I don't need, all my wife's work events on my calendar, unless they pertain to the whole family. But for anything that does, we put that on the family calendar so that everybody can see it. So that's a little bit about some of the other calendars you're going to find under there. And there's another one I think under there that has the Siri. I think it says like found in Siri or something like that. And I like to have that on. What that does is it in a way that is very private and very secure, and that no Apple engineers are looking at this or anything. Okay, but with the artificial intelligence, Siri knows that, and I'll give you a perfect example. I was in communication with a few different people because my wife did just have her 40th birthday, and we had planned a little surprise dinner at a restaurant nearby, and I was in communication by iMessage, by text, with other people about that, inviting them to it and so forth. And the combination of text messages, when I went onto my calendar the other day to add an event, it actually triggered a Siri suggested event and basically said to me, you can add this to your calendar right now, because I already know you got this birthday celebration planned on Sunday at, such and such a time. And so I did add it. And even if I had not added it, I would have still gotten an alert for it, I think, because it was a Siri suggestion. It said, basically, you may want to be aware you did talk about this. So here it is, so you can ignore it, you can add it, but it uses that kind of thing. If you are, talking to somebody in a text message and you say, let's have lunch tomorrow at noon. Well, that's going to be a suggestion when you try to add an event to your calendar. Or if you get an email confirmation for a train ticket or a hotel or a plane, a flight, these kinds of things and others will also trigger Siri suggestions. And it's designed to make things easy for you. It's when you're adding an event. I don't know if there'll be any today when I go to add an event. But I did want to talk about, those are the different calendars you have: family, home, work, your birthdays calendar, Siri, all these different ones under that calendars area there. And the final button, because we were looking at the bottom 3 buttons, the final one is the inbox. And this is where, when people invite you to an event, it's going to show up. You can accept the event, decline the event, what have you. And again, I will explain more about that during the explanation of how to create an event, which is the next thing I'd like to show you, because we'll talk once we create an event about how to find events. But let's go ahead and create one. Now, there's a lot to this, and I'm going to, be as detailed as you can reasonably be without overwhelming everybody, I hope. So we're going to double tap on the add button, and I believe on the phone that's going to be at the top right of the screen. On an iPad, it's slightly different because you have this sidebar of sorts.
1 p.m.
So I'm going to go over here.
Toolbar, inbox, list, add button.
To where I know the add button to be. And I'm going to double tap on it, and it's going to bring up this new event screen.
Add text field is editing, title, character mode, insertion point at start.
Right away.
Rotor to access misspelled words.
Right away, it lands me in the title field where I can type the title of the event. Now, just to be clear, if I swipe left,
add dimmed button, new event, heading, cancel button.
So if I change my mind and didn't want to add something right now, I can hit cancel. When I'm ready to confirm and add the event, I'll hit add, but you can see that that's dimmed right now. It's grayed out. That's because there's no information in here. So we have to type something. But let's swipe to the right.
New event, add, dip text field is editing, title, character mode, location or video call.
Okay, and yeah, there are no Siri suggestions right at this moment for me to add, and that's okay. Maybe if I were to start typing something, there would be. And just to, to do that, because I know that I've done, like I've put haircuts in the calendar before. So I bet if I type HAI, I wouldn't even need to type all those letters, but let's just do HAI, and let's see if it does bring up
AI, paste, dimmed, hair, tail.
Okay, that's quick type.
And add text, clear text, boys hair, designing images, 220 haircuts, designing images, location or...
Yep, you can see 2 different choices there that we've put in there before. Boys hair, because sometimes just my son and I are getting haircuts, sometimes all of us, sometimes my daughter, whatever. And there was a generic haircuts, and it knows the location. I don't know if you heard it say the name of the hair place, designing images. It knows where we get our haircuts because we've done it before. And so I can pick one of these, and it would just make things quicker and easier than having to fill out all the information by itself. All right, so that's one of the examples of suggestions. It didn't give me an entire suggestion on its own because there was nothing it found right now that it thought it should, but it did when I started typing. It come up with some suggestions. I've deleted haircuts, and we're going to put something else in there. I like to use this example, business lunch. We've done that one before. Business lunch, and that way because what I'm going to give you is some different choices that we can add. Like we're going to, just go off of that and put location, and that's going to be the next field. So I've put business lunch in here. You can hear that if I...
Lunches, lunch, paste, dip, text field is editing, business lunch, character mode.
But the next thing, if you swipe to the right...
Clear text, location or video call.
Is the location, and it also says or video call. Remember, I told you you can put a FaceTime link right here in the calendar, and that's where you're going to specify that it's a video call if you created a link for it. But we can also pick a location, and it's so useful because you're going to see some options later as we're adding this event that really do depend upon having the location in here. So I'm going to pick a location for our event. It's a business lunch, so let's go in here.
Look, search field is editing. Enter location or video call. Character mode. Insertion point at start.
And right away, if I swipe to the right, that's a search field. We'll use it in a minute. But right away, if I swipe right,
dictate button, current location.
I can have the event at my current location by double tapping.
Video call, heading, FaceTime.
I can double tap on FaceTime. That will indicate that it's a video call.
Recents. Heading.
I can look at some recent locations.
Olive Garden. 331 Everett Area Elementary School. Logue Valley Mall. Olive Garden.
All right, so Olive Garden, that'd be an all right place for a business lunch. We can put that in there. I wouldn't even have to search. If I did want to search, and just to be clear, I just double tap on Olive Garden because it's a recent location. It will just fill in there automatically. Well, let's say I don't. Let's say I'll do something different just to give you another example. Let's say we'll search for Panera Bread. That's a real good place for a business lunch. All right, and when I do this now, what's going to happen is it's just like I typed PAN, just like you're adding a contact to a message or something. It's going to populate with search results up here. I don't know if I typed enough because I only typed PAN.
Panera Bread.
Yeah,
Paste.
there we go.
Panera Bread, 156.
And it gave me the correct one. So I'm going to double tap on that. That's a search result, okay? You could put an address. You could do whatever you want. I'm going to double tap here.
Suggestion.
Okay, so I believe
calendar. Multitasking.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Action.
Yeah.
100.
All right. So I think we got
cancel. Search the clear tap. 156 valid current location.
Yeah, it put it in there. It already did. So I double tapped on it and it put it in there.
Business lunch. 150 clear text.
All right, it's got the location in there now. Now what I can do is I can continue to swipe to the right to see what else there is. Now, as soon as I double tapped on that suggestion, it brought me back to the main new event screen. All right. If I needed to modify the location, I could double tap on it again, but it's there now. So I'm just going to swipe to the right.
All day. Switch button off.
Is this
double tap to toggle setting?
All right. This is a toggle. For sighted folks, it's a little switch that you can switch on or off. For VoiceOver, you just double tap to toggle, and it's off right now. Is this an all-day event? Well, we probably could sit and have lunch all day, but we're not going to. So we're going to leave that off. If we wanted to have an all-day event, you could turn that on. All right. Double tap to change that.
News now. National.
And I just got a notification there for news, but that's okay. That sounded interesting.
Notification. News. Drag. Dismiss. More.
Let's go to more.
Red story. Button. Save for later. Button.
Let's save that for later because it sounded interesting. All right, so we're back to
business lunch. Text field. 156 clear text.
That's
156
the address and then
all day.
All day. It's not an all day event.
Start 3 p.m. October 25th, 2021.
That's not a button. Okay, that's strictly informational. That's telling me when it's currently set to start. If we want to modify that, we need to keep swiping right. That's a big change from iOS 14 and below. If you are used to doing it the old way, pay attention because this is different. That is just information. To edit that, you're going to swipe to the right and expand the date and the time. So here's swipe to the right.
October 25th, 2021. Button collapsed. Double tap to expand.
And we do want to expand because our lunch is not going to be, our business lunch is not set for today. So let's double tap this.
October 25th, 2021. Expanded month. October 2021. Button adjustable.
Once you have expanded it, you swipe right.
3 p.m.
And it puts you on, it actually already put me on it. It did it itself, but it puts you on this.
Month. October 2021. Button adjustable. Double tap to change month and year. Swipe up or down with one finger to adjust the value.
All right. I believe when we did a demo of the clock last week or the week before, I mentioned to you what I described as a hybrid element. Some of you may remember that when we entered the time of the alarm, it was a hybrid between a combination of a value adjuster. You could just swipe up and down on the picker to choose the hour and minute, or you could double tap on it to reveal an edit field. Well, this is sort of similar. This is a value adjuster and a button. And if you double tap on the button, it reveals another picker for the year. So right now, the picker for the year is hidden. Only the month picker is showing. And if I swipe up, eventually it will change years, actually pretty soon, because we're already in October. So if I swipe up.
November 2021, December 2021, January 2022.
See, it's going to keep going. But if my event is in like 2023 or 24, 25, I don't want to have to swipe up through every month to get there. So I can double tap on this to expose a second picker for the year, and I can change the year apart from the month, and then I can hide that again. And so that just makes sense as another option if your event is, a couple of years away or something. So what we have, I'm going to go back down and put this. Let's say this event is in November.
November 2021.
Okay. Now, let's suppose the event is going to take place on November the 19th. We'll say that's when our business lunch is going to be, just for fun. All right. So if I swipe to the right now, I have picked November. I've selected November as the month. What I actually have before me here is the entire month of November represented in a calendar form. And I think we'd say this is like a grid. And so you have every day of the month of November listed here. And when you can literally swipe right and left, but you can go right to go to the next day, one day at a time. And so if I swipe to the right,
Monday, November 1st, button. Tuesday, November 2nd, button. Wednesday, November 3rd, button.
And you get the idea. So if I find the date I want, I just double tap on it and it selects that date. But now, are you telling me that I really have to swipe 19 times? Because I said that the event takes place on the 19th of November. Surely there's got to be an easier way to get to the 19th than having to swipe to the right one day at a time like that. And the answer is there is an easier way. And it is the first time we're going to teach another rotor option that we haven't really taught much before. Vertical navigation. Vertical navigation is designed to take you directly below the current item that you're on. We said from the beginning that navigation is typically left and right on VoiceOver. Sometimes you want to go directly below because it's just easier. That's the case here. And I'll show you what happens. I'm going to swipe back to Monday the 1st.
Monday, November 1st, button.
I wouldn't have had to, but I just did. And now I'm going to turn my rotor to vertical navigation.
Language, screen rec container, vertical navigation.
Okay. When I swipe down one time, listen to what I get.
Monday, November 8th, button.
What that did for me, my friends, is that took me...
Calendar, cancel.
So what that did, as I was saying, I'm going to do it again now because I, just interrupted myself to do that, which is fine, but I want to make sure you really get this. What vertical navigation does on the dates in the calendar is it moves you 7 days forward or 7 days back when you swipe up and down. So again,
add button.
I don't have to swipe one at a time now.
Thursday.
So here's
Monday, November 1st, button.
Now, I don't know if I'm still set for vertical. Let me just...
Headings. Vertical navigation.
Okay, I am. So we said the 19th. So instead of having to swipe 18 more times to the right, I swipe down 2 more times.
Monday, November 8th. Monday, November 15th, button.
And now I just swipe 3 to the right.
Thursday, November 18th.
Oh,
button.
4 to the right. I'm sorry. Math skills.
Friday, November 19th, button.
5 plus 4. All right. There it is. The 19th of November. And I double tap on it.
Selected. Friday, November 19th.
And now I've selected the correct start date without having to swipe 19 times. I just went to the first, set the rotor to vertical navigation, swiped down to the 15th, and swiped right 4 times over to the 19th. And I double tapped, and it selected the 19th. You can see that now. And really and truly, you got to understand, this was not the way VoiceOver users used to do it. It was introduced in iOS 14, but our sighted counterparts have always done it this way. When I first got the very first beta of iOS 14, and I'm, one of the people who always drills it home to folks, don't report something as a bug until you know for sure, or at least with reasonable certainty, that it's not a bug, because chances are, there could be bugs, sure, but chances are, more than likely, it's just a design change and you just don't get it that it's a design change. Well, I did that exact thing. I was in the middle of typing up a bug report about how different the calendar was. The pickers for the dates and stuff weren't available. And then suddenly I thought, I better check with somebody cited in the family, my wife, my son, my daughter, to see if what I'm hearing is actually what they're seeing. And sure enough, I said to them, guys, I said, this is different, and the pickers are gone. And they looked at me like I had three heads and said, what pickers? You see, because there had never been date pickers for sighted folks. There had always been the grid of calendars, dates. And why would it? I mean, think about what we used to have to do. If you had the old way with VoiceOver and your event were November 19th, I'd literally have, because today's the 25th of October, I'd literally have to swipe every single day, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, November 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd have to go in that picker. And yes, you can double tap and hold on the picker and slide to go more quickly, but a lot of people didn't even know you could do that. And so for most people, they're swiping one day at a time. Here, all I do, I swipe up one to go to November. I swipe to the right. I use vertical navigation, or I slide, as Rita pointed out, and I find the 19th. I mean, it could not be easier. And so we've done that now. We've double tapped. We've selected the 19th. I want to go back up to the first because I want to hide the date picker. So
Thursday month, November 2021 button, adjustable.
I'm going to swipe left.
3 p.m. button.
I'm going to swipe left again.
November 19th, 2021 button, expanded. Double tap to collapse.
And that's what I want to do. I want to double tap to collapse that now because we don't need it anymore. We've selected the date.
November 19th, 2021 collapsed.
Okay. Now, we have hidden all that stuff. But listen.
November 19th, 2021 button. Start. 3 p.m. November 19th, 2021. November 19th, 2021.
See, it's hidden now.
3 p.m. button. Collapsed.
But surely
double tap to expand.
Our lunch is going to be earlier than 3. So let's double tap here.
3 p.m. expanded.
And just like with the clock, you have this hybrid of pickers, value adjusters, and also you have you could double tap on them to edit text. So listen, if we swipe right,
3 o'clock, picker item, adjustable, 3 of 12. Swipe up or down with,
and we can actually swipe down to 12.
2 of 1 of 12 o'clock, 12 of 12.
And to the right,
00 minutes, picker item,
and we could swipe up.
05 minutes, 10 minutes, 05.
It's moving. Okay, so if you wanted, to have it at 12:30, you could do that. To the right of that is
PM, picker item, adjustable.
A picker for AM and PM. You just swipe up or down to change it.
AM, 1 of 2. PM, 2 of 2.
All right, so we could do it that way. The other option we have, if we'd rather, is we can type the time, and we can still select AM or PM, but we could type the time as a 1 or 2 digit hour, just like the alarm, 1 or 2 digits. Depending on what it is, right? If it's 9 a.m., you can put 9, but you're always going to do a 2-digit minute. So 9 a.m. would be 900. 11:30 a.m. would be 1130. Okay, so you can always do a 1 or 2 digit hour, but you've got to do a 2-digit minute. So if I wanted to do that,
12 o'clock, picker item, adjustable, 12 of 12.
I'd just double tap here, and it would bring up a telephone style keypad, and it would allow me to type the hour and the minute in that way. And don't overthink this. Don't try to delete what's in there or move the voiceover cursor. Just literally double tap, find your keypad, and enter the time. I'm going to leave it alone because 12 o'clock,
00 minutes.
That's a great time for a business lunch. So let's go to the left.
12 o'clock, 12 p.m. button, expanded.
And we want to hide that.
12 p.m. collapsed.
Double tap. So now if you swipe left again, you can hear that everything's set the way we want it.
It starts 12 p.m. November 19th, 2021.
Okay. Let's swipe to the right.
Ends 1 p.m. November 19th, 2021.
And I swiped 3 times to the right to get past those because we didn't need them again. Now, it's again, this is not, you can't act on this. This is just information.
Ends 1 p.m. November 19th, 2021.
So if I want to change anything here, the date's still good.
November 19th, 2021. Button collapsed.
See, remember before in 14 and below, you had to double tap on starts and then you double tap on ends to select one and the other. You don't do that anymore. I actually really like this a lot better. But you do need to remember it or you'll end up double tapping on something that's not going to make a difference. So your ends, the date is here. We're going to leave the date alone.
1 p.m. Button collapsed.
Well, that's probably not
double tap to it.
A business lunch. Probably not
Expand.
Quite enough time for a business lunch, just an hour. So we'll double tap.
1 p.m. expanded.
And
1 o'clock. Pick her item.
This time I'm not going to do the I'm going to type it in instead of swiping, just like I described. So we'll double tap on the hour.
Minutes. 00 minutes. Adjustable.
You heard it. Maybe you did or maybe you didn't, but I heard it bring up a little pop-up. And on the iPad, it's located. Well, I just swiped to it.
Repeat. Travel time.
It's going to be kind of like located at the, where is it on the iPad? I always forget exactly. Okay, kind of upper middle towards the left a little bit, and it's a telephone style keypad. On the iPhone, I believe it's kind of actually up near the top of the screen. I don't think it's at the bottom, but you can explore by touch as well. And here's what I've got.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
See, I've got a regular keypad of telephone style. So we're gonna do a 2, 1, 5. I'm gonna say that it goes to 2:15. Okay. Now I'll dismiss that. I just tap off of it, and you can see now that my end time.
November 19th ends 2:15 p.m. November 19th, 2021.
Okay, so instead of having to swipe through the picker, I just did it that way that time to show you how easy that is. All right, so you've got the clock. You can turn to the correct time, or for us, it's, that the pickers, or you can just double tap and then you can enter them manually. And again, we will hide
12 p.m. button. November 19th ends 2:15 p.m. button. Expanded 2:15 p.m. collapsed.
We'll hide that. All right. So we've just entered our start time and our end time and date, of course. And we've entered a location and an event title so far. Going back to the philosophy of this course, I want to be very, very clear about something. Nobody sat down with me, and as beta testers, when we got these, there was never a document that said, okay, you now have a hybrid picker. If you double tap on it, it will reveal a keypad, or if you double tap on this, it will collapse the date, or it will expand, and you'll have, you can use vertical navigation. This is stuff, and I said to you before, I believe, praise God, that I have a God-given talent here, but this is also stuff that you have got to explore. My biggest goal, and I believe the entire team has the same sentiments, is we want to teach you the fundamentals so you can do this stuff for yourself in other apps, right? Because there's no way we can do this with every app, okay? And if you go to the user guide, Apple has a great user guide, but it doesn't give you as many step-by-steps as you'd think, because I made a point of going to the calendar chapter before just to see. And you want to know what they say about adding events? Now, I mean, I'm paraphrasing ever so slightly, but basically what they say about adding events is that you tap on the plus to add an event, and then they say, fill in the information as appropriate for the event, and they'll highlight certain things. Like they might say, if you want to be notified when it's time to leave, be sure to select the turn on travel time and select the starting location. They'll give you some of it, but they are not giving it to you step by step. They're not saying, okay, enter the title in the event title field. Now tap on location. You can search for an event, pick from recents, pick from series. They're not doing that, okay? And they don't need to, because you have all of this at your disposal. You can figure this stuff out. And what I'm trying to teach you And what all of us are trying to teach you throughout the course here is these patterns, these fundamentals, and some ways to begin exploring, right? So I'm showing you the calendar step by step because I believe it's so important. And, I understand the fact that we all learn differently. And so I'm trying to cater to that a little bit, but this is something that you can figure out. And, I believe that we've been called to do this. All right. So some of these features that we're talking about, we're going to get to now because we've just completed the end date and the start and end time.
Alert. Invitee kept trout repeat 2:15.
Okay. So there's where we left off. Now, the very next thing we get.
Repeat never button.
I feel like we could do a whole session just on this. This is your recurring event option, and right now it's set to not repeat. Okay, so this is a one-time event, a business lunch. But if we wanted to have something in here that is recurring, I will go into this by double tapping on it.
Selected never.
And the first option that I have, of course, is never.
Every day. Every week.
I'm swiping right.
Every 2 weeks. Every month. Every year.
So we have some common ones here. Every week, every 2 weeks, every month, every year.
Every month, every 2 weeks.
Okay, so you got all those choices. Now, the one to the right of
every month, every year. Custom button.
Custom. We can create a custom repeat here. And I will say this, there's no way I can give you every scenario here. You really, really are going to need to play with this one on your own. But let me just show you, an example or two of a custom repeat. Double tap.
Frequency, daily. Every day. Event will occur every day.
All right, you got two areas right now here.
Frequency, custom,
and the first one is frequency.
Frequency, daily.
To bring this up in a way you can work with it, you got to double tap it.
Frequency, daily.
Now, if I swipe to the right,
daily, pick her item, weekly, 2 of 4, monthly, 3 of 4, yearly, 4 of 4.
All right, so you can pick
monthly, daily, 1 of 4.
Any of those that you want.
Weekly, 2 of 4.
Okay, let's say
monthly, 3 of 4.
Monthly. Now, if I swipe right,
every month. Event will occur every month.
So I can double tap on every
month, every month.
And I can swipe right.
1. Pick her item.
And
adjustable. 1 of 999.
Look at that. 1 of 999.
Or down.
So
2.
Every
2 of 999.
That's 2 months.
Pick her item. Adjustable. 1 of 1 month.
Okay.
2. Pick her item.
And it says
event will occur every 2 months.
All right. So now if we go to the right.
Selected. Each.
On
the ellipsis.
Or on the. All right. So each is selected right now, and I have
1, 2, 3.
All right, that's the date. That's the date of the month, and I can select what dates it appears on, or I can go over here to
1 on the selected on the ellipsis,
and then I can choose on the
first. Pick her item.
First, second, third, whatever. And then swipe to the right.
Friday. Pick her item. Adjustable.
So
6 of 10.
Right now I have it set to
pick her item. Adjustable. Third. Pick her item. Friday. Pick her item.
The third Friday.
Pick her up. Selected on the each. Event will occur every 2 months on the third Friday.
See that? See what we just did there? And
custom, repeat, back button.
You could do
custom, frequency, monthly, custom, hex, every, frequency.
You could do like
month, yearly, every 2 years.
Every
event will occur every 2 years. Every year. Pick event will occur every year. Jan, Feb, Mar, APR.
What months it occurs every year? I mean, this is just really, really powerful. And so you can, if you have an event that occurs on the 4th Tuesday of every month, or, on every month on the 1st and the 10th, or every, all kinds of possibilities here that you can do with this. We've run into one that some folks have brought up that we think might require 2 separate events. And that is like if an event is supposed to occur on the second and fourth Tuesday. So far, the only thing we found to do is to create one event that occurs on the second Tuesday and one that occurs on the fourth Tuesday. But I will admit that I am still looking. I may be wrong. Okay, there may be a way to set that up with the custom repeats that I just haven't figured out yet. But you can always do 2 events if you need to. But for the most part, you can really, really customize this without much hassle, and it just takes some time to play with it. And you'll find that you can specify all kinds of custom repeats. So, not going to spend any more time with that. As I said, you got to play with that on your own because there's so much to it.
Event 1, every, frequency, yearly, custom, heading.
I'm going to go back.
Repeat, back button.
And when we get back to the main repeat screen.
Repeat. Select event will selected, custom. Event will occur every year. Event will occur every year.
Okay.
So every year.
Now, if I pick something different, like
every month,
let's say every month or every week,
travel time.
What we have.
Calendar, invitee, alert.
I want to show you that.
And repeat, never button.
You also have a button once you pick one of these repeat. End repeat. So is it something that ends, after a certain point? Like I gave the example earlier of a soccer game or soccer team, and maybe they are only playing soccer, certain months of the year. My kids do soccer with AYSO, and it usually goes from about the beginning of April till like early to mid-June. And so, after that, we don't want to keep this on the schedule for the rest of the year. So what we could do here,
and repeat, never button,
is we could double tap on that button and we could specify when the repeat ends. Okay. And we've done that for the voiceover course, actually. Now that voiceover course was able to be done with one event by saying it occurs every week on Monday and Wednesday. So we were able to do that. All right. And then we just said, it ends on whatever date in November there at Thanksgiving. Now let's go to the right and let's see what else we have. Now we've dealt with the repeats here.
Travel time, none button.
Okay. Here's a big one. This is what we meant when we said entering your location is so important because it will enable other features. Here's one. The travel time. You can turn on the travel time option. Right now it's off.
Calendar, multiple messages.
Sorry about that. I got a message. That's why it just popped up there like that. Okay.
2:15. Repeat and travel time. None button.
There's no travel time right now, but we're going to change that because remember this event occurs at Panera Bread, and so we're going to double tap on travel time.
Travel new event back button.
It says new event back button. One of those predictable patterns, right? We know we can go back, but let's go to the right.
Travel time heading. Travel time switch button off.
Okay.
Double tap to toggle setting.
Right now the travel time is off. We're going to double tap to turn it on.
On.
Now we're going to swipe to the right.
5 minutes. Travel time switch button on.
All right.
Double tap to 15.
And what we actually have here, this one, for some reason, when I want to go back a second because the way it put this particular event in is the address was put in a weird way here, and I want to check this because it's not giving me an option that I expect to see here. So let me just fix this. All right, I'll clear that out and pick something that. All right, here we go. I don't know why that did that way. Just give me a minute and I'll fix it though. All right, I think it's fixed now. Let's see. So if I go to travel time now, I'm gonna have to play with why that was different. But yeah, it's good now. Okay, so when we turn on the travel time and we swipe to the right, what we're going to see.
Starting location.
Now it's going to read me my current location as the starting location. It's showing me my current location, and I can change that. I can double tap that and pick a different starting location. But here's the cool part: I don't have to, because when I swipe to the right,
select a starting location to automatically determine travel time, or select a time below.
Now listen to this.
Based on location, 45 minutes.
And that would be right. Where this place is, it's about 45 minutes away. And it knows based upon current traffic condition. So it is actually using Apple Maps traffic conditions to determine exactly how long it's going to take me to get there. And right now it's 45 minutes, which is about what I would expect probably for this time of day. The thing is, based on location means that even if I'm somewhere else, when it's time to leave, it's going to let me know. So we're gonna select that one based on location.
Based on location selected. Based on location, 45 minutes.
All right, so that's our travel time. We've now turned on travel time. We've selected our current location. We've selected the option to have based on location. And they're going to pick the things that are reasonable. They're not going to have you walk that distance, right? So we've got this selected.
Travel time, heading, new event, back button, new event.
All right, so travel time is good.
Travel time, 45 minutes, button.
Now, let's go to the right.
Calendar, home, button.
Okay, so this is where we can specify what calendar this goes on. Is this a personal event on the home calendar? Is it a work event? Does it go on the family calendar? Does it go on another shared calendar? So we can pick which calendar. And whenever I create public events like these classes and our help sessions, I put them on the TTJ training calendar, which is a public calendar that people can subscribe to. So everybody gets that then. All right, now let's go to the right again.
Invitees, none, button.
So in addition to putting it on a certain calendar and, people who have access to that calendar being able to see it, I can also invite people through this option here. And what you need in order to do that is you need an email address for each person that you want to invite. Now, if it is possible to do so, I recommend getting the email address that is the person's Apple ID. Because if you enter that email address, what's actually going to happen here is the calendar event that the person is being invited to will go directly into their calendar inbox. Remember, we saw there was an inbox button before, and all of their invitations, they'll get a notification from calendar saying, invitation from so-and-so to this event. They can accept it, they can decline it, whatever they want to do, and it's able to be done right from the calendar. If you don't send to an Apple ID email address, it's still going to work, but it's going to come to the person's email and they'll have to accept it that way. And then it will give them the option to add it to their calendar. So it's still doable. But again, just if it's possible to do so, get the person's Apple ID email address. All right, the next field here.
Alert, 1 day before, button. Second alert, time to leave, button.
So I've got 2 alerts for this event, 1 day before and at the time to leave. I can change each of these if I want them to be different. Maybe I want to be notified 2 days before or, a half hour, something like that. You can pick that. All right, these are based upon my default alert settings. And the time to leave one, as I said, it really will work because it is going to be based upon current traffic conditions. And it'll give you even a couple extra minutes cushion. So what you have is you have this, if it really is going to take 45 minutes, it might notify me 48 minutes ahead of time that it's time to leave. So I have time to, get a coat on if it's chilly out, get to the car, whatever the case may be. All right, so those are my alerts. Again, I can double tap on either one or both of them to change them.
Show as busy, button.
That just is going to show that as an event time that we're not going to, it's busy in the calendar. It's going to prompt us. If you try to schedule something else, then, hey, you have a conflict. Do you want to schedule it anyway?
Add attachment, button.
Add attachment. We can, maybe we want to discuss something at our business lunch and I want to attach a document that is relevant. So I can attach that right here in the calendar event. Or maybe some kind of a hotel confirmation registration for an event or something. I mean, again, you can really be creative here.
Attachments will be applied to all recurrences.
And because I made this a recurring event a few minutes ago, it's indicating to me that the attachment will be applied to all the occurrences of the event.
URL, text field.
And then
notes.
URL.
Notes, text field,
and notes. So let me just go into each of those a little bit. URL, well, if you are doing, this is really, there's lots and lots of possible reasons where you may want a URL. If you do it like right now, of course, we are very familiar with, video conferencing, and we talked earlier about FaceTime links and Zoom and WebEx. That is where you put your URL. Super easy. If you want to add an event, like a Zoom meeting, you can put the URL there. Okay. And the notes field, again, maybe just you have some notes about the event that you want to include, so you can put those there as well. Now, once you have done all of that, okay, then is when you're going to do. So the last step here is to hit this button that actually tells us to add the event. That's going to save it, right?
Dictate.
So you can't just let it go. You got to
add button.
Up at the top. You got to hit add, and once you do, it is now going to be added to your calendar. On Wednesday, we will continue with this and discuss finding events, and we'll just keep going from there. All of you, God bless you, and have a great evening.